How would I know that something is decreed for me? And this is a question that you're supposed to ask yourself, and I also asked myself in like one of my journals. I sat down and wrote, how would I know that something is decreed for me? Because most Muslims have this like limiting belief. And I was thinking like non-Muslims, how could they have achieved impossible feats while we Muslims are held back thinking like what if it's not decreed for me? When you look at the chances, like you see that the Muslim have more chance to achieve hard work, more to achieve success, to achieve so many things. But for some reason, the non-Muslims, most of the time they defeat them. They defeat the Muslims. And I was just thinking like, why is that? Imagine like we have the Salah, we have the Tahajjud. Imagine the last third of the night. The scholars say that it's an arrow that never misses targets. Imagine making dua at the last third of the night. We have that as Muslims. Non-Muslims don't have that. We have the Salah. We have so many things that will give us barakah, like things that will propel us to our goals. But for some reason, we are held back with this big limiting belief. What if Allah did not decree it for me? Or how would I know that Allah decreed for me? Because we don't want to waste our efforts. And I really thought about that question for a long time. I thought about it and then I brought out my own personal conclusion. I'm not trying to be Islamic. The thing is that actually people, for example, like some scholars I would say, like Ibn al-Qayyim, they all mentioned about if something is not, I'm not sure, but don't quote me out of context, I'm not sure. But he said that if something is decreed for you, it's not decreed for you, no matter how much you put in the effort, you would not get that thing. And if something is decreed for you, you would get it surely. And that thing, I would say I misunderstood it, and also many people misunderstood it, and that is why I'm making this video. I'm thinking like, why do the Muslims always think about like, this is not decree for me, or like any of these things? And the conclusion I was able to bring is that you don't have the ability to understand. Don't have the why. Failure is not a sign of that, because if we put failure, because people used to think that failure is that if you fail so many times, that means it's not decree for you. Let's put it to the test to the non-Muslims. And also even the Muslims, I will give examples. The non-Muslims, the example I was able to think of is Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison that created the light bulb. There are so many controversies, and some people say that it took him like 1,000 days, some people say 365 days, some people say 100 days, or it's 100 attempts. Whatever, let's just say not even 1,000, let's just take it small, 100 for example. People say he failed 100 times or failed 99 times and 100 he won, whatever. What if he failed? And the failure, actually, the people that talk about if you fail many times, I guarantee you they don't fail more than 20 times. Let's just say he failed 99% of the times. What made him persist in spite failing? Imagine like failing for 99 times. Imagine that. Have you ever failed for something 99 times? So imagine if he said, okay, this is not a decree for me. How would he have known that it is a decree that he would create something that's revolutionary in today's day and age, which is the light bulb? How would he have known that? He has no means of knowing that. And so he kept on persisting. Every single failed attempt taught him a lesson. And I will keep this point, actually. Remember this point, lesson, because I will come back to that. But the 100th time, he got it. And so failure is not the reason for that. People are afraid of trying their effort. What if they waste their efforts? Wasting efforts, from the way you look at it, is that what's funny, they don't want to waste their efforts on good things, but they don't even care about wasting their efforts on bad things. Imagine, okay, what if I scroll TikTok and I don't find something relevant that will help my deen? Who care about that? Nobody will care about that. People just bring on these are just start scrolling without even caring a bit. Okay, so how is it that when it comes to something good, you're afraid of trying, but when it comes to like something bad, you don't even care about trying, even though the bad thing has the consequences? Remember that. So that means wasting effort is not a solution. And I got an idea right now. I totally forgot a bit, but maybe I'll come back to that if I remember the idea. I just got a light bulb idea. Let's take the lessons. Okay. If you fail the first time and you got a lesson on how to not fail the first time, you try the second time and not fail, try the third time. Look at Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam. How many times did he try? How many times? Dawah. It's mentioned that he did 950 years of dawah. 950 years. Let's see, the you that are talking about that this thing is not decreed for you. How long have you tried? Maximum a year? Not even a year, maybe 6 months, maybe 3 months, maybe 1 month. Most of the time people talking about this like it's not decreed for me. I guarantee you, in fact, even when I was a few years earlier, I was trying like all these business models and everything. I've tried this thing for about a week. When I say I try, I really mean watch videos and like experiment with like 1, 2 things and just leave it and it's not decreed for me. I'll pick a different model. I will not even watch the entire videos. I'll just watch the introduction, the first few videos, and then I will get demotivated. I'll leave it, and I'll be just researching more on this thing, and then I'll leave it, and then I'll say it's not decreed for me. And that's how I've been doing. Okay. When you put in the work, every single time, trying to persist, the brain will start to bring up these questions like, what if it's not decreed for me, or what? How will I know? Like I said, the conclusion I was able to bring is the only way you know this is decreed for me is when you achieve it. Like there's this principle I figured out just about a few months ago. I didn't know whether I mentioned it in YouTube. There was basically this Qur'an competition I was having, so I was getting so distressed at the very last moment. Even Tahajjud as well, I got the same thing. The day before the Tahajjud, I was just so stressed out. Randomly, I was just stressed out. I was just thinking about so many things. And then, what I discovered is that, let's take an analogy, okay? If you play like Mario, you know what I'm talking about. There's this final boss before you go to the princess, this final boss. And I used to think like this final boss is those fear, those anxiety, those depression and everything. It's like the final boss. The moment you reach that, before you pass that, this final boss will be that it will be massive. Like you feel a massive level of anxiety, massive level of confidence dip and everything. Before when you win, when you pass through that, that's when you'll be able to win. And I was thinking that I was getting so much of these things randomly, and that's when I understand. Okay, so there are so many things before like this. Imagine that there's a wall. Okay, everyone quits at this place. All the difficulty and everything, people just see the things above these things, so nobody sees these things. So if from this place you quit and that is not decreed for me, like how would you, in fact, you don't have a why, like even if you see in a dream like you're not Prophet Sallallahu, you have no option to say that you did not achieve it. And okay, I don't have a concern. What if it's not decreed for me? Something that's not decreed for you, you will not even try it, number one. Number two, even if you try it, you would stop it completely. I'm not talking about giving up and coming back. No, I'm talking about completely living off something. Completely. That is when, and sometimes I cannot just say it's not decreed for you when you just leave something, because most of the times you will leave something and then you get a new idea and everything and just come back to that thing. When you see yourself coming back, there's a higher chance that this is decreed for you. Okay? So we need to have this like persistence mindset. That is what the Muslims, most of them like lack. I'm not trying to bring up a new thing to the deen, but when you look at the stories of the Sahabas, the stories of many people, imagine if they sit down and say, okay, it's not decreed for me. Or imagine like, let's just say like there's a war that arises and I am the leader for some reason. And I stood up in front of everyone, let's imagine 1,000 people. And I just say, what if Allah did not decree us to win this war? What if we fail? Out of those 1,000 people, like if they see the leader talking about this thing, technically like 900 of them would run away, because this is a demotivating statement. Imagine someone trying, for example, to get fast. Imagine trying to lose the weight. He's trying all these things, and you come to him saying that, what if it's not decreed for you? Like you will not be able to lose weight. That is a demotivating statement. 100% demotivating. Okay, we need to have this optimistic mindset, and there's a hadith. I'm not sure whether I quote the hadith, but well, Allah in the I think Allah in the DB, I think I forgot the Arabic, but it says that Allah is, I say, how you think of Him. I would say the way you think about Allah. That's how Allah. That's how Allah. That's how He is. It's not like that's how He is, but that's how you perceive everything around you, and that's how you see things like signs and everything. If you see Allah as someone that's a razak, that would give you so many things, you will not be able to have this mindset of what if it's not degree for you. Like, imagine if everyone has that, nobody would be able to achieve like any form of achievement. You might not you probably have never achieved something hard. That is why you maybe have that things. But when you kind of have something difficult and you're able to conquer through it, that's when you start to understand, okay, certain things is not the way it seems. Sometimes some things that will be so difficult for you, but when you just went into it and passed it, you will see that, oh, I have so many limiting beliefs about that thing as well. You need to understand, like, it's not just saying like it's not degree for you. Saying that things like, for some reason, even if you give a 99% chance of success on that 1%, some people will like lynch into that and think, what if it's not me? Or what if, imagine if there's like about, let's say, 100 people, and they say one of them will be flogged. All those 100 people will be shocked, will be like very frightened. For some reason, like they don't want to be the 1%. It's not a problem, like do not worry. And in the past I used to worry about making mistakes and everything. I used to regret. Something like another perspective came to me right now as I'm talking about the things that are not decreed for you, like talking about things in the past, for example. It was never meant to come to you. They've already passed. It's never meant to come to you, and stop regretting like, oh, I did this thing, I did this thing. You should regret, like, don't get me wrong, it's not a big thing, that just do not regret and constantly regretting, because there was a time in 2025, like this Qur'an competition was coming up, and then sorry, a second Qur'an competition, there's this Tahajjud. That was the first time I led Tahajjud in my life. And then after the Tahajjud, we did like from about 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. every single time, every day. And then we finished the Tahajjud, and I remember one of the, I think his name is Umar Suleiman, he mentioned that like it talks about like continuing the habit after Ramadan. And I love the Tahajjud. Like one of the things I love about Ramadan is the Tahajjud. I said, okay, what if I continued the habit of Tahajjud even after Ramadan? I continued that thing, but the problem is I was doing 2 hours a day. Tahajjud, I just continued that. Imagine like in Tahajjud, like I have all this barakah and everything, but I said I'm just gonna continue it. And genuinely I love the Tahajjud actually. And now I'm thinking like, what I'm thinking is say contradicting what I'm about to say. Because what I was thinking like nowadays maybe I could have just continued, which is contradicting. And then after that I was only able to sustain it for about 11 days, which makes it 21 days in general. And there were so many things that made me fail actually. Like, there are so many things that made me fail. Maybe, I don't know. And then I was just not able, like there's a one day after day 21, or there's, I think day 22, I think, I missed the Tahajjud. And I was thinking like, I just wasted all those efforts. I think there was about 40 hours of Tahajjud at that time. Imagine 40 hours of Tahajjud. And I was thinking about the golden rule of habit formation, like it takes 21 days to build a habit, and I just failed on day 21 or day 22. And I was just thinking like, come on, like I was just hating myself, I was regretting so much. And that regret, I made this story so many times, that regret, I think in the next video I want to talk about this regret. That regret, it's made me fail for the next 8 months. Imagine failing for the next 8 months, and that I was still the Imam of Fajr at that time as well. So imagine someone that's now waking up for that, someone that's not waking up for Fajr for 8 months. And I made the story, like this, you can search it up. You see, regrets, like when something have already passed, you have no other, like I was saying, you don't have a means to understand, okay? You have no means, like you try to understand the world. So when something have passed, it is not meant to come to you, okay? So what you are doing in the present, you cannot still say, just imagine if it's just present, it's just for you. And the things that have passed, that's when you say it's not decreed for you. 100% it's not decreed for you. But things in the future, you cannot just see that, because I would say the ability for you to fail. That's when, because so many people were just saying that, what if I'm not picked from the people that are supposed to memorize Quran? Imagine saying that to someone, like, for example, if someone is constantly struggling and just constantly pushing through, and just told him, if you're not the degree to memorize Quran, you will not memorize the Quran. If I was there, I would have kicked you out, because that is a very, very demotivating statement. And I hope this video answers your question about how would I know something is degree for you. If it have already passed, that means it's not degree for you, and if it's in the future or the present, you have no means. The only way you know that is when you achieve that goal. I would like to end with the humble quotes. Too much attention makes a donkey think he's a lion. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.